disconnect your battery. Okay, now it's locked. You got to turn your wheel to the side. We got to take this center airbag out. A lot of people like to wait a few minutes before they do anything with the airbag to let the whole charge go out. I am just going to put the car in the on position and let it, I assume it'll discharge that way. Now, nobody ever showed what hole you need to actually go in. From what I could tell, everyone's just like, yeah, stick a flathead in the hole. Yeah, well, there's a lot of holes back there, turns out. So it's this hole. It's the one that is easy to reach and is kind of oval shaped. You stick in something small instead of a flathead. I used just a really small extra screwdriver I had. So you stick it in the hole. Trying to look through the camera, make sure I have a good view. Stick it in the hole and you pull outward, and that will push a clip in, which should then, if I could get both in view, release that wheel. Nobody liked to show this. Nobody showed the back. I was sticking all kinds of things in there that were either too big or I was sticking them in the wrong hole. Yeah, just something real small. And then do the other side. On the outside, on the outer portion of it is where I'm sticking it. And then outward. And we should see, oops, I missed it. My second clip was stuck. It needed a little help from me. Maybe I didn't quite get it centered. So you got to be careful when you're pulling the wheel off. You don't want to break those. This is always where I get the most nervous. So we stick a flathead behind on the other side. You're supposed to use a flathead. This is what's accessible for me. Pull that up. Pull it out. Be gentle with it. It's a baby. Behind. Pull it up. Gently pull it out, and your wheel, your airbag is off. Yep, you need a Torx 10 bit to remove the buttons themselves, the whole button assembly. Okay. The rest of it just kind of wiggles out. Might be a little stuck for you because maybe it's just never moved its whole life. I deformed that a little bit due to this washer. Not too worried about that. I just kind of haphazardly placed these in a position that I thought would feel nice. I put my thumb right here and made sure my pinky wasn't hanging off the bottom or something. They are actually still a little loose. This is my beta wheel that I'm planning on replacing, so I just drilled a hole with a drill. I got it as straight as I could get it over for the proper angle. I tried to drill straight back, had to move my blinker stock up. I drilled straight through, made it as much of a straight angle as I could get it, and came through right here, and then I drilled another one, probably a little too close on this side. There's actually 2 holes in there for the wire to go through. And what I did to measure it was I just pushed this really hard into the leather to make a mark. or this is probably actually kind of a rubber. Made a little mark there, and then I drilled through that. And these aren't flush on the back yet, because this is my testing wheel. Planning on getting a whole new steering wheel in here. Okay, sorry I'm so bad at giving instruction. So basically, you've disconnected your battery. You've pulled your airbag off your wheel with those clips. You've drilled holes, 2 on each side, for the wire and the screw for the steering wheel. By the way, I'd say the screw's about that long, so do with that what you will. I'm probably going to end up going down to the hardware store and picking up screws that are probably a little more of a precise size. And again, these are kind of just pressing down on the rubber for the time being, probably just for a few days. But I'll probably end up getting screws that are a little shorter that just close the gap on just the metal in here. There is like a metal arm going back and forth. Pretty easy to drill through. So yeah, once you have those on, you run your wires through. The paddle shifters I got are from a Mercedes Benz GLE 63, 2014 to 23. The part number's in the description. It has 2 wires coming off of it. Some of the paddle shifters I saw had 3 wires. I don't know what the 3rd wire was for. Extra grounding, more like a data signal of some kind. The 3-wire ones, I'd stay away from those. I'd use one with 2 wires, because one with 2 wires, according to my simplistic mind, 2 wires shouldn't be data. It should be a simplistic, momentary switch. Okay, so button assembly comes off. You know, I was looking. They were so close to being able to add, drop that, put that down. They were so close. They could have put buttons. They could have put lights behind these buttons. We have the button disassembled. These are physically what makes up the buttons, is these little copper pads here, contacts, and they push down on these little guys. When the copper contact, or whatever that is, pushes down, it makes these 2 kind of F-shaped contacts, you know, complete a circuit. And your car reacts to various voltages. All of these send different voltage back, and your car reacts to that voltage, and all the magic happens from there. That's all above my pay grade. So all we are doing, I am so bad at giving instruction, guys. I'm sorry. Like, I'm doing my best. I am not a teacher. I am not somebody who could do this well. Okay, so one of the things you're gonna have to do is drill a little hole in the back of the button assembly. I don't know of the perfect place to drill it so that it won't put stress on the board. What you then do, is, can you see that? What you're then going to do is carefully solder, put solder over those pads, and solder the wires on. It's not beautiful, but each part of that solder there, let me see if I can stabilize this. Each part of that solder is not touching. Those wires are not touching the each other or anything else. There's probably a little bit too much of them exposed for what I did. And these 4 cylinders, they do vibrate a lot, so I think I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue or silicone in that to keep them from jiggling apart, jiggling off, hitting anything else, so I don't get a random downshift all of a sudden while I'm on the freeway. I'm not a great solderer, but yeah, that's essentially it. You need to solder the paddle shifters onto one of the buttons and then reassemble the whole thing. Same thing for the other side. Take it apart, drill a hole through the back, and it gets soldered exactly like this one. Before you reassemble everything, I would plug the airbag back in and just let it hang out here for a sec. Before you put everything back together, put the airbag back in, go put the battery back in, you know, reconnect it. Put the car in on, put it in neutral, put it in manual, and then shift up and down. You should see it shift up and down. If you don't see it shift up and down, something's wrong with your solder there. That's the hardest part, is soldering, and I really wish I could give better instruction on how to actually do the soldering part. It'd be just so hard, you know, here in the car. I'd need a 3rd or 4th arm. There's my other side. A little too much solder. I'm going to redo that too. All that grease you see is the flux. The flux is what allows the solder to flow onto those copper pads. A little bit of hot glue or silicone after should prevent them from hitting anything else, coming off. If they do come off, less likely to, you know, make contact with something you don't want them to. Okay, you got those plugged back in. Now we'll just set it. Just for now, just set it there. We'll put the battery back on and give it a good test. Oh, chill out. Make sure it works. And you have to redo your down one. Lucky you, I have to resolder one. When I was reassembling, one came off. I pulled it. Pulled it too much. So, let's get it reattached. Applied a little bit of rosin. This stuff. Solder's going to flow better. Now test. I don't have my passenger seat in, so my battery, my airbag light is already on. If you do not put your airbag back in, your airbag light will illuminate. And I think it's something like 25 start and stop cycles with a working battery plugged in that the light will go away. So anyway, I'm testing without one out of laziness. Okay. Up. Down. Up. Down. Works nice though.